Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new product from DarwinFPV.
This is the TinyApe FreeStyle. So not Baby Ape, but TinyApe. This is a 2.5-inch quad versus a 3-inch quad from DarwinFPV. This thing features some newer new camera, ELRS, newer motors, and it's one of the few bind and fly options they actually offer from Darwin now instead of plug and play.
Right, so you take this pre-built quad, open the box, bind it to your radio, and in theory, you'd be flying.
Yes, it's very quick, very easy setup with ELRS. Whether you have an ELRS module in your radio or it's a native ELRS radio like the Zorro or the new Radio Master TX16s, etc. Easy to set up, quick manuals on the website, get you going, get you in there quick.
So in this video, we are going to open this box, show you what's inside of it, go over their specs, and then if it stops raining with the summertime thunderstorms, get outside and try to get a flight or two in. All right, if you ever flown a quad or airplane and crashed it and had to go pick it up and do the walk of shame, go ahead to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. We can sure help you out. All right, well, 2022, we got a new quad, fairly new manufacturer.
Yeah.
So what is this? Who is this quad designed for?
Well, this is a micro quad. This is something you're gonna be able to fly in your front yard, backyard, in the neighborhood without pissing off neighbors, etc. So basically, this is a great little quad. It flies really well. It's got good power to weight ratio. It's an all-in-one system. It's not specific, unique parts, so you can build it, you can alter it, you can change it, etc. You could use the electronics on a different frame down the road if you get bored with this frame, all kinds of stuff. You're not stuck with electronics that are very unique to a specific frame, whereas this one actually has a separate ESC and flight controller, so if you do damage it, you could technically replace only part of it. The motors are easier to source, stuff like that. The camera's more generic. The VTX is more generic. You're not integrated parts, you're not very specific parts. So I like that feature. And granted, with these small quads, yes, the electronics are different because they are smaller, but it's more in line with something you would do it yourself.
More of a hobby grade.
Yeah.
Just remember, smaller does not mean cheaper. Usually it's opposite. Smaller means more money.
So at the price point of this thing is roughly $130, $135, something like that.
With ELRS, pre-built.
Yeah.
Take it out of the box. Nothing to build. No soldering.
It's a great bang for the buck. Realistically, it's a nice little camera. It looks good in an analog goggle, everything like that. The quad flies really well. There's very little to do to it. Put props, set your flight modes, and go fly.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you guys, when this came in, I haven't seen Will this excited over a quad in quite some time. So
yeah, as soon as I saw this announced, I was like, damn, this is going to be a good little quad. Because this size quad, if you guys ever go back in any of our old videos, way back in the day, we're talking Eachine days, Aurora 100, stuff like that, this was the size, that 2.5, 2-inch quad was such a good platform for where I fly, which is in our parking lot, at my house, small areas that went family and friends' house and stuff like that, where I can get away with flying micro quads. I've always enjoyed the smaller quads versus like the 5-inch quads where you have to kind of find somewhere to fly. Mm-hmm. So this is great. You don't have to worry about weight limits or restrictions, etc. This is something you're going to be able to fly almost anywhere.
Right.
Not inside your house, so don't do it. It's too fast. Yeah, no, I knew you were about to ask that. No, don't fly in your house unless you have a aircraft hangar for
stadium for it.
Yeah. This is a great little package for not a lot of money. They'll get you flying for low cost. So let's see what's inside the box of the Darwin TinyApe FreeStyle. So let's get this thing opened up here. You got props, 25, 12, 3-blade props. You have your accessories, some zip ties, stickers, battery straps, antenna tube, some extra screws, antenna tube cap, and bubble wrap. Oh wait, oh no, it's a drone. Sorry. So we got the TinyApe itself right here, and it does have a lens cover on it. Let's see. We got a little card with a link to like the support or something like that. It looks like, yeah. And then some piece of paper here. Let's see what this is about.
Ooh,
basic flight controller instructions. I will say for binding instructions, you do want to actually go on the product page linked on this card here. It does tell you bind up the ELRS if you've never done it before. This is an SPI ELRS receiver integrated within the flight controller, so you will need an ELRS transmitter to use it, or you'll have to solder an external receiver, but I would just use ELRS, it's easier. So that's everything here. Let's go over the quad itself. has 1103 8000 kV motors. These are going to run on 2-cell or 3-cell, but you got to be careful with 3-cell. You can't get too heavy of a battery, and you got to be careful with throttle because you could burn out a motor, or ESC is what they're claiming. So they don't recommend 3-cell. I know people are going to do it. It's on the edge of performance, yes, but be careful with it. I would not recommend 3-cell if you've never flown these guys before. I'd start with 2 and then maybe work it way once you get everything set up.
Hear that? 2-cell.
Yeah, I'm flying mine on 2-cell. If you're going to use a 3-cell, use a lightweight battery, like a 350, somewhere in there. It weighs 50.3 grams. In fact, I got my scale over here somewhere. Let's verify that. Go ahead and tear it. And 51.7, so probably 53 with props.
Yeah, cool. So that is under our legal weight.
Oh yeah, this is not gonna, and that's with the cap on it too. This thing uses an F411 AIO stack with 15 amp ESCs, so there's 4 15 amp ESCs on this little stack. The VTX on this guy is 25 to 600 milliwatt, so it runs 25, 200, 400, and 600 selectable through the OSD selection there or through Betaflight. It does run Blue Jay firmware on the ESCs out of the box, which is like the newer BL Heli style. It's faster frame rate.
This is not running BL Heli?
It's Blue Jay. It's a fork of it, basically.
Okay.
If you don't know what it is, go on Google, look it up, read. Awesome information online.
So
it's firmware on the ESC.
Okay.
It's good. It's good. Faster for it.
Good. We like good.
I'm not. That's a whole another topic there.
All right.
Anyways, yeah. Don't even ask that. It's running Betaflight 4.3 out of the box. The firmware on this thing was just pretty much rock solid. It flew really good out of the box. Very impressed with that. The new Betaflight is pretty freaking awesome. So unlike the Baby Ape, the TinyApe actually is already flashed with 4.3, so you don't have to worry about doing that. You will need to make sure you have the proper Betaflight configurator for 4.3 before you flash anything, because you could corrupt it. Other than that, recommended batteries for this is going to be a 2-cell, roughly 380 to 450 pack. I've been using 450s on it. Flies good. If you want to keep it a little lighter, a little less flight time, somewhere in the closer to 400 would be better. 3-cell, do at your own risk. They do not warranty 3-cell damage from the motors and all that, etc., based off their information on their website. So take that for what it's worth there. 2-cell flies perfectly fine. 3-cell be gobs of power, but I think you need to run a throttle curve on it. Expected flight times, I was getting roughly 4.5. I could squeeze 5 minutes depending on how I fly it, but realistically on a 450 2-cell, I was getting about 4.5 consistently on flights. But they are on their website. They do claim about a 5 minute 20-second flight time on a 452 cell, landing at 6.5 volts per cell, or 6.5 volts total voltage. Sorry. And that's running the VTX in that mid-range at 200 to 400 milliwatt. If you're running at 600, it might eat a little more on this little guy. I'm not sure how efficient the VTX is on this. I haven't checked. But otherwise, I will say, taking all the technical mumbo-jumbo, talking about the specs out the window, where's my quad? This thing has been fun. I've been flying the living shit out of it. The thing I did out of this, I put the props on. I didn't even put the screws. It does have the screw holes. You'll see here, unlike the Baby Ape that a lot of people said, I don't like the fact that you can't screw on the props. This one does have the screw holes and it comes with the screws to put the props on with threads. The factory Gemfan props press on perfectly fine. Didn't have any issues with it. I didn't even bother putting the screws in it. I have mangled these props. They are all bent up, chewed up, and everything from hitting everything there is in this parking lot. And it's been holding up fine without screws. I did go through and I tightened all 4 screws on each motor, because based off the Baby Ape, I did have one loose, and I did lose one initially in an early flight testing one. So I went through and tightened all the screws on that, which is a good idea to do. Also, you'll note the camera will probably be fairly loose out of the box. They don't tighten those up, so you can set the angle and then snug them up. So basically, just get yourself a little Phillips head screwdriver and go down all the screws when you get it, just to make sure they're all snug. If you want to go one step further, maybe pull a screw out, put a drop of super glue on the threads, put it back in, just to keep it from backing out over time. But realistically, a lot of these small quads, check the screws every couple flights, and you'll be fine.
Good advice. Good advice.
It did have the rubber grip pre-applied on this one, which was really nice. The antenna tube you'll add, and I just did the full length. I didn't even cut it down. I just put it all the way in with a little cap on it. The VTX is secured there. I haven't had any problems with damaging any of the antennas with various crashes I've done. I've been really happy with it. I've barely nicked the carbon in the front of this thing, and I smacked the concrete so hard the other day. I hit a tree, and I was trying to recover out, and I was avoiding the next door company's car, so I had to put it into the curb. And I don't know how I bent 3 props, but I didn't damage the quad. So I'm very impressed with that. It's held up very well for its size. So I'm really impressed with that. 600 milliwatt VTX are capable. I've actually flown in our parking lot. If you've seen any of our older videos on the higher power with the metal building and all that, I get a lot of bouncing, a lot of interference and all that. A lot of noise in the video. So with something like that in this particular area, I would recommend sticking a 200 milliwatt setting. If you're in the middle of nowhere and you want to get the little extra distance, I guess 600 is fine, but just know with the stock antenna and surroundings in the city and stuff like that, you might have some electrical noise or more noise in the video. So that's that on that part. Looks like it just rained a second ago. I don't know if it stopped. We can do a flight video.
Let's go fly.
I do have DVR recordings.
Let's go fly.